Today, we're talking about the number one most important thing you need to do before you start looking at a house, and that is getting pre-approved.
Okay, the most important thing is call your favorite realtor, but getting pre-approved, yes.
Right. Give us a call, get in touch with us, and then we're going to put you in touch with Stuart because getting pre-approved is extremely important before we start looking at houses. Unless you're paying all cash, in which case you still need to have proof of funds, a letter from an accountant, whatever. Getting pre-approved is extremely important these days, especially because we're working in a super competitive, super busy market, and that pre-approval letter is really what you need in order to be taken seriously when it comes to writing offers.
It is critical. And when you call to work with a realtor and we ask you if you're pre-approved, it's not because we don't believe you can buy a house. It's because it's in your best interest. So you need to have a complete and total understanding, first of all, of your budget. You need to know how much you want to spend. Sometimes you can get pre-approved for more than you're comfortable spending. But what happens when you're in this pre-approval process is your lender is going to talk to you about your financial situation, how much money you have to put down, where you're looking, what the taxes are going to be, how much your insurance is going to be. And he's going to put these pieces together and explain to you what your payment looks like at each level. So you might say, I really don't want my payment to be more than $3,000 a month. And he's going to help guide you what that looks like. And sometimes, even though you have more money to put down, it might be better for you to get a loan where you use some of that money to buy a point down or some other things. Knowing your budget and knowing the loan product that works best for you is absolutely critical when you are going out in this busy market. It's not because it's better for us, it's because it's better for you. When you work with a lender, there are two things you can have. You can have a pre-qualification or you can have a pre-approval. A pre-qualification is pretty much worth the paper it's written on. A pre-qual is where a lender asks you some questions, plugs it in, and says, here you go. Based on what you've told me, here's your pre-qualification. A pre-approval is what a lender hands you when you have physically provided him with W-2s, tax returns, pay stubs, bank statements, and he's run your credit. So you are now pre-approved to go. When you are fully underwritten, he can provide you with a conditional loan commitment that says this buyer is ready to go. And the only thing we need to know is that the house has clear title and if an appraisal is needed, if it appraises. The other thing that our lender can provide to you in certain markets with a certain down payment amount is something called an appraisal waiver, which means because of the amount of money you're putting down and because of the location of this house, we're not worried about the appraisal. Having those two things, either loan commitment with condition of appraisal or an appraisal waiver with the loan commitment, which the loan commitment's on you. That loan commitment would still be conditioned on getting clear title to the property. However, you are going to have a very competitive advantage over some of the competition if you're in competition on a home. If you come in with a fully underwritten buyer and or an appraisal waiver. Those are very distinct advantages over other buyers if you're in competition for a home.
Absolutely. And so those are really four different choices you have. So if we had to rank them in order from least valuable to most valuable, it's going to go at the bottom of the barrel, pre-qualified. It doesn't mean very much. A step above that is going to be pre-approved. Already way better than pre-qualified. Above pre-approved is an underwritten pre-approval. And the only thing that gets better than that is an underwritten pre-approval with that appraisal waiver. Because if we have that, that is just about as clean of an offer you can have without being all cash.
That means that you are financially a slam dunk, and the only thing we're waiting on is to find out if the house itself is a slam dunk. Yes. So the other reason that being pre-approved or being fully underwritten and having your loan commitment conditioned upon the property is you're going to have a better understanding of the process and all of the costs. So there are costs associated with the loan.
Yeah.
Not just your down payment. You're going to have prorated taxes. You're going to have escrows that had to be set up. You're going to have prorated HOA. You're going to have title insurance. You're going to have homeowners insurance. You're going to have a closing fee. All of these things factor into the cost of doing the loan. And when you're pre-approved, or when you are offered conditional loan commitment, your lender is going to be able to explain to you what all of the costs associated with doing that loan are. What is really unique and special about our lender partner is that he offers something called a Bagel Loan, and I'll let him explain that to you here.
The Bagel Loan is a great product. No closing costs, no title fees, no lender fees, no appraisal fees. It's nothing. Bagel looks like a zero. We call it the Big Bagel. No costs at all. If you're in a situation now that you're bidding against other people, which happens all the time today, and you don't have enough money to gap the difference of what the biggest offer is, well, with the Bagel Loan, since there's no closing costs, you can add that to the bid and beat the other offers out on the price. Bang, you got your house. So this is a real great option. You have to have decent credit and you have to borrow at least $200,000, but we can do it for you.
Yeah, the Bagel Loan is a great product. Our clients have been loving it, and it is unique to American Mortgage Corporation. So you got to work with Stuart if you want no closing costs.
The second thing that's really, really important, Jacob, is the pre-approval. Now, we have a great story to tell you. There was a customer that came over to us. They were working with another realtor, which they shouldn't have been doing. And that real estate agent said, go to my lender for the pre-approval. They went to that lender for the pre-approval. They got a $400,000 pre-approval. Guess what happened? The following week, they made an offer on a house for $405,000. Well, anytime you do a pre-approval, you get a letter from a lender for $400,000, which is what they got.
Yep.
So they called their lender. And they said, hey, we need an updated pre-approval because the counteroffer is $405,000. So first of all, it took 2, 3, 4 hours to try to get a hold of that lender. They found out he was in Mexico. He couldn't give them that updated pre-approval letter, and they lost the house. Following week, they came over to us and they said, you know what? We would love to get a pre-approval through you. We heard about the Bagel Loan. There's no closing costs. What can you do about the pre-approval process? Well, with us, we actually give you the ability to generate the pre-approval letter anytime you or your agent want. And they can generate it for any amount up to the amount that your maximum approval will be. So if you're going into an offer, you want to offer $400,000, you go into our portal, you generate a pre-approval letter for $400,000, you get a counter offer for $405,000, you can immediately get your pre-approval letter and go ahead and generate and give it to the seller. So this customer that came over to us, they did that. And they didn't want to give the pre-approval letter for $500,000, which is what they were approved for, because then the seller is going to see, hey, you know what? They're approved for more. I'm going to try to squeeze more money out of it. So they gave a letter for $400,000. They got a counter offer at $410,000. Immediately, they gave the letter for the $410,000. And they told the seller, you got 2 hours to respond. So the timetable was on your side instead of the seller's side, and they got the house.
Yeah, and just to emphasize how important that is, because that happens all the time when we're sending offers and there's counter offers, or we're going over list price and we need to generate a new pre-approval letter. Being able to do it like that is extremely important, very helpful for us and for our clients. That way, either we can do it as your agents, you can do it, and we can get that letter and send it over to the sellers and their agent as soon as possible. Now, when we say that you have an underwritten pre-approval that is conditional, one really important thing to know is that that pre-approval is conditional upon a few things. For example, your credit stays the same, your finances and bank accounts stay the same, your job stays the same. Because let's say from the point of contract to the point of closing, you buy a new car and you take out an auto loan, or you rack up a bunch of debt on credit cards buying new furniture, or you quit your job, you get fired from your job, or you change jobs.
We don't do those things.
We don't want to do those things when we're under contract. So even though you might be fully underwritten and you have conditional loan commitment, that conditional part of it is very important because you're not free and clear just yet. Everything has to pretty much stay the same before you close. And then once you're closed, yes, go buy that car. Go buy that new set of furniture for the living room or for the bedroom.
Then you can change careers. I mean, whatever you want to do.
Yes.
But you cannot do it while you are in that holding pattern between purchase and close.
Do it after you close on your home. And that's a really big thing where we've had some oopsies before with people buying a car but the day before closing, or taking out a bunch of debt or loans for something related to the house. And what we're saying here is wait until you get the house and then go do those things.
Don't go to Ashley and spend $20,000 on furniture 2 weeks before closing. Don't do that.
Do it after closing.
Don't go co-sign on a loan for your kids. Don't take out a student loan. Don't do anything.
Right.
And if you're in doubt, call your lender.
We're not trying to scare you away from taking out new debt or buying a house. We're just trying to make sure you are informed. Even the smallest changes to your credit and to your finances can change that pre-approval.
And it can change your rate.
Absolutely.
So when we ask you if you're pre-approved, it's not because we want you to be pre-approved. I mean, we do. But we want you to be pre-approved because it's in your best interest. And it puts you in the best position to have the best information, to have the most knowledge, and to be the most competitive if we are in a competitive situation. Those things are very important to the process.
We want you to go into the situation eyes wide open and knowing your budget. And honestly, Kelly, sometimes we found that people can afford more than they expected once they talk to Stuart, and we can get creative with your down payment, your interest rate, even the type of loan we're doing and how your closing costs play into that. Because you'd be surprised. Sometimes we can pull some strings and suddenly your budget goes from $400,000 to $450,000, and that can open up new doors and give you more options when looking at homes.
And the other thing that is really important for you to understand is we do not get kickbacks from lenders. In fact, it's quite illegal. The reason that we partner with the vendors that we partner with and with certain building inspectors, certain contractors, certain lenders is because they go above and beyond and they do such a fantastic job for our clients. When we ask you if you're pre-approved, the other reason that we ask you that question is because we do have a fantastic lending partner that we can refer you to who will not only save you money, get you the best rate, get you free hot dogs for life at the kosher hot dog stand at the Cardinals games, but you are also going to get impeccable service, which is what we provide you with and what we expect from our vendor partners.
And that's a really good point, because even if you have a loan officer you're working with, whether they're your cousin, your best friend, whoever, we're still going to recommend that you call Stuart, because it makes no difference to us who you work with. But we work with Stuart because he is the best. He gets it done.
He does. And I have a really great story. So I have a client that is one of my top sources of referral and someone who's bought and sold, 5 or 6 houses with me in the last 10 years. And she had a family friend who was her lender. And she always insisted on using this particular lender. And she was trying to purchase her most recent home. It was her fiance. They each had homes to sell and they wanted to purchase a home together. This very good family friend had told her that her budget was $400,000 and they had to be contingent on one of their homes selling. Well, in a competitive market, being contingent on a home sale is just not going to get you the house that you want. And in the target neighborhood they wanted to be in, they needed their budget to be closer to $500,000. So I said, I know that you're loyal to your family friend, and I so love that and appreciate that about you. And I know that's why you keep calling me. However, I really want you to check with my lender because I think you can qualify without selling, and I think you should qualify for more. Well, lo and behold, they qualified without selling their homes, and they qualified for over $500,000. So we still sold their homes. We sold his home first. They moved into her house. We sold her house shortly after we closed on the new house, but it gave them some time and they saved money and they got a better rate.
So when we really push you to get in touch with Stuart, we're not doing that because we make any more money on the sale. We're doing that because we want you to have options, especially when those options are pretty darn good.
And when they save you money and get you a better rate.
Absolutely. If you have any questions at all about getting pre-approved, how that process works with the mortgage side of things, getting that loan or buying the house and looking at houses, give us a shout, call us, email us, text us, and we'd love to walk you through that process.
We're here to help.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
I'm Kelly.
I'm Jacob.
Peace out.
Peace out.